and Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We are on episode 102, and we got an interesting episode today. I'm actually excited. We have a kind of like a tour recap vlog. I don't know what I'm talking about. Podcast. Here.
That's perfect.
Heck yeah. We got Bailey and AJ. What's going on, y'all?
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Yeah. What's up? Okay,
I'm so nervous.
it's cool. There's no cameras here. We're
He's
just
gonna
talking.
yell at me.
Friend. All I want to know is tour, man. Okay, so first of all, like, how long was like the tour in like the works before like you guys announced?
In the works,
Yeah.
it was actually what's wild is I have a second daughter now. She's 5 months.
Yes.
At the birth, I get the text.
What?
Yep.
Are you like in the hospital when this happens?
Yep, absolutely. I'm in the hospital, and
Holding your baby,
literally
like,
everything.
we're going on tour.
Whoa, no, wait a minute. You gotta go back. No. What was it? Everything was said and done. Everyone was happy, healthy, mom, baby, everything. And I'm sitting in postpartum, and I'm like, all right, we did it. Oh, holy shit, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, this is probably a bad time to ask if this is okay. So I waited a little bit. It was October 27th is when we got when we basically got the text like, hey, Lockjaw is offering us the spot for direct support to do this run. It looked like everything was pretty much planned. There was just like a few dates that were like, nope, not ready yet, but we'll get them going. And one date in particular that got canceled later and ended up becoming Havoc. So that
really?
almost didn't happen. Yeah, that is a funny story with that. But yeah, we got the call October 27th, and once we were finally like, yep, we can do it, we were like, yeah. Let's go. Luckily, everything was already kind of put into place because there was another band who had already set everything for it, which is a ton of work and whatnot. So with all that being done, we didn't have like a ton of work on our end except for saving up as much money as possible to be able to do things and come out green. So
was this your first longer run with the Dispo? Because you now have official. That's first of all. I'm gonna talk to you about that. Because last time you were here with your other band, you were like, we were talking about Dispo a little bit. And you're like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna join.
It wasn't just. I think you even like on the podcast were like, yeah, with your new band. And I was like, yeah. And then afterwards, I went up and I was like, hey, by the way, I think I'm just a fill-in. So just so you know, like it's okay. Like we can keep it, but I'm just but yeah, no, I even at that date, I kind of knew like I was going to stick around, but yeah, now I'm like fully in.
What kind of, was there something that actually like fully convinced you to like, oh, okay, I want to do this?
Well, with the Dark Divide, we lost Craig. He decided to he wanted to step down. He wanted to do other things. He didn't want to be a part of it. And so me and Rob had like a long conversation about it. And it was like, all right, we're going to keep it going. But, I think I'm going to stick with playing with Dispo. And I kind of want to do that. And so that's kind of what pushed it. But also, like, they're going to hate I say this, but I love the guys. Like, just hanging out with them, like, we click, like, super well. Like, we became, like, good friends. Except for Dally. Like, fuck Dally. Like, he's, like, the worst. But he came in later. He just put a counter on the bottom of the screen. Yeah, but he came in later, so it wasn't by choice. But no, the rest of the guys, Ethan, J-Mo, and Zaylan, they were really cool at the time. And then, Dally. But fuck Dally. That's the most important thing.
That's cool. I actually was really excited when I saw that you finally like were in, because I'm like, I had a feeling, because it just, the way you fit in with like all the guys, just seeing interaction, like, because I've known like the Dispo guys for quite a while, and then even just like the few interactions that we had, and even talking to you when you were in here, I was like, as soon as like you started playing with them, I'm like, I'm excited for this. Like, you have the right energy for this band.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, that's what those guys like say all the time. Literally, they're just trying to have like the funnest time possible.
Which I jived with that like mindset like so hard. Like hearing all the songs and hearing the new songs and everything, and like it going from like the deepest of deathcore to our 80s song and whatever. It's stuff like that, like that whole like span of just like we just want to write like just good music and just have fun with it and like fun music that we like, and we're like, this is good, let's put it out. I was like, yep, I'm in. That's perfect.
And then Bailey, how did you feel coming into touring with these guys? First of all, like, have you toured like with bands before? Like,
Never in my life have I toured.
This is your first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How was this like experience? Well, first, like hearing, did you get offered? You were offering? Like, how did this happen?
So I have been trying to like make connections and get to that point of being offered, and Zaylin just shot me a message on Instagram, and I had like a little mini panic attack because I was like, "Oh, this is real." Okay, cool.
We were in Chili's.
In Chili's?
Oh yeah,
Damn.
which is a.
It was getting turned.
Wait, you guys were like chatting about me, and you sent a DM about it?
Well, we were chatting about the tour. We were rehearsing for some show. I can't remember. And then we were like, all right, photographer, Bailey. And then Zaylin was like, all right, I'll hit her up, see what we could do. And then we were just sitting in Chili's having some chips and queso. And we're like, yep, Bailey.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Learn something new every day. No, I've known them for a little bit. I've shot them a couple times, and it's always fun. And I will say, like, of any band that I could have gone with, they were the most fun. Just because, I mean, even just their stage presence, base level is just so insane. Like, if you've never heard of Dispo, if you watch them live, you'll be listening to them forever. Yeah. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, they suck you in. They're entertaining. Zaylin is hanging from the fucking rafters, like crawling between Ethan's legs, just crazy shit every single night. It was so much fun. All the photos are different at every venue because there's always something new to look at. All of them are always doing something. A lot of bands that you watch live, you see just the singer and you're staring at the singer the whole time. I can look at every single one of them and they're all doing something entertaining. And
probably
it was
making a funny face, something goofy.
No, we talked about
AJ with his tongue out.
The iconic.
We had a chat about that. We had a chat. I'm like, if you look at me one more time with your tongue out, we're gonna fight.
It's
I need you to help me out.
We need another shot.
It was straight up just like every time, like, because I'm just sitting there, right? I'm not moving around. I'm not like, my mind is literally just in one spot, right? Just looking at the drums. So if she's coming up, I'm seeing her. And I just have this impulse to be like, hey, how you doing?
It's funny because Scott and Lockjaw did the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yes, eyes wide open, tongue out. I have so many photos of him doing the same thing. And I'm like, okay, come on, guys. Work with
something
me here.
different. Then it became like halfway through the tour, it became like, all right, now that I see here, I just got to look forward all the time and just be,
be natural.
Be as natural as possible.
It's got to be a candy. Gotta just put in work. I don't know. It's just fun though. Like, but that, to me, every time I see those, I'm like, dude, like you're up there having a fun time, and it's I mentioned this quite a bit with like bands that I'm become more into, or like even bands that I become fan of. Like when I see them live for the first time, it's all about energy for me. Like if the genre isn't something I'm familiar with, or even like a fan of, and you are having fun, like I'm sure that I'm gonna walk away and be like, that shit was fucking badass. You know what I mean? Like, cool. It was cool, and it was fun, and it's catchy. Energy is always catchy. So, and if you want your crowd to come alive, like you need to be having like the time of your life up there, or have the energy for it to invoke what you want them to do.
Like, well, and that's one of the things too. Like Zaylin makes them be involved. Like regardless whether you've done anything the entire show, at the end you are required to be involved in the show.
How that man gets every room.
Every single one.
Every single room I've seen in, no matter how many fucking people were there.
I was dead surprised. He got every show on the tour.
On the tour?
Every single one. I thought for sure there'd be like one, or like, like a Wednesday, right? Or the Monday show. And I'm like, no one's going to go to the Monday show.
There was one that was a little iffy.
Yeah.
Yes.
He had 3 people carrying him.
And we were like, all right.
It fucking
literally,
happened, though.
I stood up and I was like, there's like 4 people, man. He's like, Godspeed, sir.
But that's it just that comes down to the talent of like the frontman ability, not just like because you're a vocalist at one point, like you got to focus on like, oh, I got to hit whatever I need to hit, like notes, whatever type of screams, but it's like, oh, how do you actually command a room? And I've had like a few experiences like that where I'm just like, dude, look at this person like making everybody like split a room in half, or get people just to again getting carried, stuff like that. Like one of my favorite interactions was a show actually we hosted with Steak Sauce Mustache.
I was just about to say, when you said like the energy thing, the first band to pop up was Steak Sauce Mustache.
I'd seen stuff of it, right? I've seen videos, stuff like that, whatever. Right. But experiencing that live, everybody in a room doing the most random, because it was like the most random shit. They had people walking around in a circle pit, but like as penguins, and then they threw like pool noodles around. It's like, okay, you guys get to sword fight with pool noodles, but in slow motion, and then the entire room is walking around. I'm like, this is so fucking cool. A band that stays in character the entire time, like nobody breaks, and I'm like, this is cool. Like it gets the most. Even the person that's just there, like, I'm just here to stand or whatever. I saw, like, everybody just coming through. But it takes a talent to that and a commanding thing. And I think it's when you yourself, I guess, just believe in, like, what you're doing and you're having fun, like, it's not hard at all for you to do that.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of tell that on, like, some people are a little shaky on it or, like, oh, like... make a circle pit. Yeah. I'm like, oh, they don't have their heart in it. You know what I mean?
Split the room, I think.
Yeah, you can't go like, split the. You can't have
Can
that.
you split the room, please?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Please split the. Zaylen would probably do that anyways.
And I feel like it works. You know?
It
but
work,
it's a different. Yeah, it's a different level of energy, and that man has it. I don't know what it is, but he's got it.
Yeah, I kid. I never did. It wasn't until like, so I started the beginning of the year last year. So it's been about a year I've been playing with them.
It's been a year already?
It has been a year already.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't do a headlining one until like the summertime. And that's when I learned about like us bringing like pool noodles and blow up dolls and shit like that and throwing them in the crowd. There's the video you took of the blow up doll just like soaring. Soaring in the air and just majestically. And I was like, wow. Like, wow, so just like seeing that, I'm like, yeah, this is fun. This is cool. This is what people like are going to be like, oh yeah, that's why people like come back and listen, just like you said.
Well, and Zaylen left his show clothes in Nashville.
They're still there.
They're still there. His boots, everything.
He has this whole aesthetic.
Wait, what was he wearing then?
He likes these. Well, so he likes these boots, right? He likes his show attire, right? Yeah. The look that he has. I don't even know how he lost it.
I don't either.
I think we just like got out of the hotel room and we were it was so beat up after Nashville. Like that was like one of those moments where we're like, oh, this is not easy. And we drove and then it was at the next stop, which I forgot what it was. Oh, Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah. And so he's like, I guess I'm playing every show in Crocs now. And so he played every show in like a flowery, like button up shorts or pants or something and Crocs.
Pants with the crotch ripped out of them.
Oh, yes.
With the crotch?
Yes.
Yes. And his like his what's it called?
Was this a choice or just like
he had no other option?
He had no other option at this point.
he had like a crotchless pants like he was touring with?
They were ripped. They were old pants.
Oh, I thought he like created them.
Honestly,
he's just
I
like,
would not
this
put
is
that
gonna
past
be
him.
perfect.
He's like, here we go.
He's like, this is the look. No, but yeah, he would get up on stage, introduce everybody, and then he's like, I have to put my Crocs in sports mode because I left all of my clothes in Nashville.
People went nuts for that.
Wonderful. Fucking, like,
putting these Crocs in sports mode now.
In Nashville, of all places, to leave your boots.
To leave your boots and everything. Oh my God, yeah. That was the first night when we were like I said, that was like, we were sitting there and talking, and we're like, this is tough, and we're gonna, you know what, we're gonna get through it and blah blah. But then afterwards, things just went up and up, and it was just such a good like.
How long was
feeling.
the tour total?
So we had a production day because we brought a sound engineer with us on Wednesday, and then so Thursday was the first night, and then it was about a week and a half. So we were all done on the next Sunday.
Okay.
Right. So a little less than 2 weeks run, which, you know, is a much longer run than like the weekenders that we've done before, or I've done with other groups. And yeah, we had one off day, which ended up being like a really good like refresh. We're in the Louisville, Kentucky, right? Was the off day?
I think so.
Because we're in the Appalachian Mountains. We still don't think we've left.
Let's see.
Are you familiar at all with like the folklore of the Appalachian Mountains?
No, not one bit.
It's one of those like Bermuda Triangle like places, right? Where like people go and they never return. And you're right? Like, fuck yeah, and so we were all in it. We got done with our show in Louisville, which was like a huge upper for us.
Yeah.
Because Nashville, we had sound problems and we were running late, and there were just a lot of things like just show logistics stuff that weren't going right that were just like kind of irking us at that point. And we're like, oh, geez, this is getting tough. And then Louisville was like, it was awesome. Everything went right and everything was great and no problems and everything was fixed. So we were like on a real high, and we were like, let's go, you know, tomorrow's the off day. we got about a 5-hour drive to the next place. We have some time to kill. Let's go to like a campground or something.
They literally did not have this conversation until after I hit a weed vape and went to sleep. So I wake up
in the Appalachian Mountains.
Fucking mountains, Sophie.
We're going to this campsite.
There's no light outside.
Yeah.
AJ's running to the lake. Like, fucking Zalen ran to the lake.
Gone. We don't know where he is, but we just see a light, and he's just walking.
Oh, my God.
Panic I would have fucking...
He's just walking
waking up.
amongst the mountains and the trees, and he's just like... I'm like, we lost him. All right.
Well, and they parked in parking spots that were like this, so it had, like, the concrete whatever. Dally tripped over it, like, 7 times.
Oh, yeah.
In a 5-minute span.
So it was good he fell. But, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
It was wild.
It was like
the video looked nice.
Yeah, it was like
it
was like a 40-minute drive off the highway, which was
shit without knowing that's where I'm going.
It's also like the being disoriented after a show. I don't know if you had this, but I always have it where like you get that like show high, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I'm done, and it's 3 a.m. Like. You just kind of get like, oh my God, all right, I just did that, and so we're on like this show high, and I'm laying down in the bunk and just looking around, and we get off the highway, and I'm like, all right, we're about 15 minutes out. 40 minutes later, we get to the campsite, so we are in the mountains, and I'm like, and then we just hit the whole like, oh yeah, the folklore, the skinwalkers are gonna get us. Hell yeah, all right. Yeah, but literally the next morning, like, it was nice and bright and night. We got to camp out and cook and whatnot and play with the geese and take nice pictures. Alan and I
pretty like active on doing shit like that, going fishing. Yeah. So I'm sure he's got all the shit.
He's such a dad. He is such a dad.
I'm like, I know all that shit out there is Ethan's. Like, it
was kind of a bummer because we were hoping to do that more. We were hoping to like be able to cook more and whatever. But it was just, it really felt like, I don't know about you, but it just felt like every day we're late.
Every time we thought we had extra time, that time went somewhere. We don't know where.
Yeah.
Well, that shit happens like at home. So I can't imagine like being on the road with like having to calculate actual times of getting to places, just the drives alone. And then the time it's going to take for you to make your stops or whatever. Yep. Like, I guess it's something that's you're not doing constantly, so you maybe don't it's not a concept of time that you're like that your brain's like, okay, I have this time, like I can plan my day around this because it's all happening new.
Now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably how he lost his clothes in Nashville, because we didn't realize the time change.
Oh,
I didn't realize that. I thought Louisville was
they're ahead, right?
I thought it was west. I thought we were good, right? But no, they are a little farther east to Nashville, and it just catches the time change, right? Wow. So we're like literally sitting around thinking we have like an hour, right? And then I think it was Jameson who was like, there's a time change, we're late. And I'm like, fucking get out of here. We gotta go. Pack it up.
Well, and then on top of that, like Lockjaw broke an axle on their trailer or something. And like then they had 2 blowouts shortly after that. Like it, yeah.
They had a whole line of tires. They had the double tire. I think it was 4 tires blew.
Yeah.
The same day their axle broke was the same day Jameson and Zalen got trapped in an elevator.
I totally forgot. What the fuck? Right when you said it, I'm like, wait, that did fucking happen.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We were all for like, sleeping in the van and everything, but there was the first night, like Dally was starting to get sick. Zalen's voice was starting to get sick and his voice wasn't doing well. And, we were like, let's just get a hotel room and be able to charge up, right?
Well, and Jameson threw out his back, too.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's another, But we, we're done with the hotel. We get up. We're trying to leave. And all of a sudden, the power goes out. And we're already kind of late leaving. I'm like, we got to go. The power's out. Well, all right. Well, we're leaving anyways. And then we're like, where's Jameson and Zalen? And we find out they're stuck in the elevator. I thought for sure Jameson was going to eat Zalen. So we were terrified for Zalen. We were going to lose a lead singer. It would have been awful.
It would have been awful.
Well, and they called the ambulance. We had to go tell the front desk that they were in the elevator.
Hey, people are trapped in the elevator right now.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so they called the ambulance, and Zalen was like, no, ripped the doors open and they
He
like
bear
popped
clawed his
out
way
and
out
like
of there.
while we're leaving the parking lot the ambulance pulls in.
Is it like stuck between floors? Is it like one of those, or is
No.
it just like on the floor?
They
just
were
not
on the
opening?
floor.
They were on the floor. It just wasn't opening.
I'm
right.
like one of the. That's a nightmare scenario. Really, like if it's halfway and you like gotta crawl out.
Yep. I don't know. I would have been.
Even just being stuck in there, I'm just like, oh fuck, what the fuck. That's always like one of my. I always wonder like what like people go through when like because shit always like seems to hit the fan like when you're on the road, something or another, especially like the axle stuff like that. I don't know how many times I've heard about like tires just blowing out, like shit like that, and I'm like, how do you like be ready for that? Because like that's like the things you have to be prepared for. Like so when people talk, I mean you mentioned earlier like it's like saving up for tour. Like it's not only like how to get from place to place. It's like what happens if some shit just fucking goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like you need to have some sort of like fund to get stuff fixed. Like man, I can't remember last time like someone's like entire just like I think vans like go out and it's like okay now I have to figure out how to move all my stuff like into something else and, like, and again making it to the show that's gonna pay for you to get to the next city, like that's the amount of pressure that's on making it to each one of these shows, you know, like it's insane from like an outside perspective for people who just see bands and just they didn't make it or this and that. I'm like no, like everything that you do while they're here, like anything you buy, like is literally it's to help them make it to the other city. You
exactly.
know? So I like that's why I like talking about that, so people like become more aware of that. It's like buy some shit from them, like you know anything, like
anything could happen, anything could go wrong, and it could.
That preparation is definitely necessary. It's the thing I always speak. Like I never got to tour, but I was always like wondering about this. Like what happens? Like what do I do? Because
we were terrified in some like at one point our check engine light turned on and we were like, oh my god, please just be like the gas cap or whatever, and it was. But every little moment like that, you know, if you're just driving around whatever, it's fine, but when you're on the road and you're like, I gotta be somewhere in 2 hours, make sound check or whatever and make this show, you know, little things like that just add up to the stress of everything else.
The stress, it's just stress you're carrying around.
It's the stress of it, and
it
affects the show. It made me like appreciate like if I go see a band who's been out for a while, or whatever, and they don't seem like the happiest. Fine, good, that's okay. Like that's okay. They are totally okay. Like I understand, like something could be happening, you know, a tire blown or whatever, and they've had a bad day because little things like that just started adding up and becoming stressful. And that's why I even said Nashville was like one of those, like it came to a head, like all these little things, like we're being like we gotta hurry up, we're not cooking, oh my god, this and that.
Well, that in Nashville, they had to carry all of their gear into like a back patio area, upstairs, and then into a room into the stage. So like they were already exhausted by the time they got up there.
It was like really loose gravel too, which didn't help. So none of the cases you can't roll them. You can't roll anything, right?
Fuck.
Yeah, Nashville was interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
fun.
It was really, really cool. It was kind of like one of those things where like I've always wanted to play Nashville. And finally did, and it was great. The venue was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
It was a really cool spot.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, like another thing is like you deal with all that stress and there's no like going home like after you play a gig.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, we are back on the road going to the next place. So,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've done the same thing where I like take it a little easier on like artists where I'm like, oh, they don't feel their best, or like, oh, I don't feel like talking to anybody like after a show or something like that.
Good,
go fucking go to sleep or
go hang out. You're fine.
Go like not do anything for a while. You know what I mean? But so I mean, one thing right now, like I just heard you like listen to like them bringing you up like while they're hanging out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's been happening a lot more where people like are thinking about you as like first choices on stuff.
Thank God. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying really, really hard to like make connections and get to know more people. I've always like had issues with social anxiety, and so like I've gone to shows forever, but I don't talk to anyone. And so like I'm trying really hard to like make myself talk to people, and it's gotten to a point where like people recognize me when I go to shows, and they're like, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram," and I still don't know how to act when they do that. But I don't know, it's cool. I mean, I've actually like gotten to know these people that are in these bands, and like we've talked about before, like everybody's in everybody's band. Like you meet one person, they're in 7 bands. Like it's just the way it goes. Yeah. So I mean, it's just one of those things. Like I'm trying really hard to kind of establish myself in the local scene because that's what I give a shit about. I mean, the big shows are cool, but I mean, the local ones are the ones that need the photos, or the ones that need the promotion, and I mean, they're typically more fun. Like, again, like we've talked about, Ballista is probably one of my favorite local bands ever. Every time I go to that show, like, River is incredible to watch. And, like, if I'm being honest, that's probably the first local band that I saw that, like, kind of got me into the scene.
Really? Okay.
They opened up for Slow Pulse, actually.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I was shooting Slow Pulse that night, and I ended up, like, just getting to know Ballista. I've shot Ballista a few times. And, again, like, everybody in Ballista's in another band. Everybody.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. You meet people, you get to know people, and if you're a nice person and fun to be around, then it just kind of works out that way. But I mean, that's really the way the music industry is anyway. It's just all about connections, who you know. And I mean, yeah, working hard is definitely important, but you've got to be likable, because nobody wants to work with you if you're in a van with them for weeks at a time and you're awful. So
that is true, because this is like, the tour was, I mean, we were saying like about a week and a half, and it's like, oh, I'm stuck in here. Like, if I'm
stuck in this
home,
box.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm stuck in this small box with 6 people for.
Hope that you can get along with everybody, and then also focus on like your work, like while you're doing it. It's like, oh, I got to make sure this is also like really good, like when I'm turning on, so that you can keep doing it. But I think you've found the right balance of like, because your work has been incredible since like I've like started seeing it. So I'm glad that it's getting easier for you to make those connections, because I think that was like the only thing you were still trying to work at. I'm glad that it's getting better, because like I think that's just gonna shoot up, because people instantly see your stuff and like automatically I feel like your name comes up as like the first option on a lot of stuff because of how like well you work.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It comes out really in your pictures, obviously, because it's funny you say like, the social anxiety thing. When she first took pictures of us, I had no clue who did them. I'm like, who did these?
Listen,
wow.
Who
sidebar,
did these?
this man does not tag me in shit. I have to comment on it.
Hold on, no.
I'm commenting and I'm like, where's the credit? And he's already edited.
Every so often, I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, he's going to see it. And she's on her phone like a hawk. And I'm like,
I took these.
Well, I interact with them all the time on social media. So I get on my app and it's the first thing that's there. And I was like, oh, that's my picture. Cool. And I'm like, okay, AJ. We've had many conversations.
It happened like a good, like, well, I tried to post like, thanks to her being so like freaking quick, we were able to like do that night's post that morning.
Yeah.
Like, we were able to like boom, 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 boom. And it just was one of those things where I'm like, all right, here's all I got to say. All right, thank God I did it. And then within seconds, I'd be like, shit. And then she'd just turn around and look at me. I'm like, hey, just check again. Yeah, it's been up there. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
And he's not the only one. A lot of them did it, but it's funny, honestly.
It's just fun. It's just
they panic.
The funny thing is how I would like know even like right before she's about to say it. I'm like, fuck, she's gonna know. And I have like the auto send to Facebook, so I'm like, she's gonna check Facebook too, and I gotta go to.
I'm not checking. I promise. It just happens.
Hey, well, we were just sitting there. What were we gonna do? You know, we were just on our phones the whole time.
There's someone I noticed like sometimes when I try to go find photos for like bands to make posts and stuff like that. Sometimes like I don't find the credits like in the photo, so I'm like, oh, like. Well, I want to use this, but like, is it bad?
Who did it?
Usually, because I don't know who like took this or whatever. Yeah.
Well, and I give them some grace too, because there's always so many photographers at their shows. Like, there's so many. Any show that I've ever shot, especially like in the beginning, Murphy, and then you have Amy Edge is always there. There's a million people there, and so they're getting all these photos and they're saving them, and they're just in their camera roll. And I'm like, okay.
I think it was...
Who took that? Like, I don't know.
I think it was one of your guys' show. That's the one I was talking about. I was like, who did these? Who the hell did those pictures? I didn't know, right? Because I didn't actually meet her or anything. But I knew there was like, 2 or 3 other photographers there. There's a lot of photographers at that show. It was My Children, My Bride, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Was that one?
I have horrible memory. I really don't know.
I think it was either that one
that sounds right.
My Children, My Bride. I know.
It was at the Rail for sure.
Yeah, I know Murphy was there at that one. And
it was either that one or very shortly after that we did the South of Saints release.
Oh, it was before that because I was hired for that one.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because of the first one.
Exactly. Like I was like, who did these pictures? I like, and then they were like, oh, it's this a shot of Bailey's, and I was like,
no, I like. It was so quickly, like from when because I think I had seen some of your stuff, and then I guess DJ like and somehow like their conversation happened and you were like, oh, like if I can just show up and take pictures. So I was like, oh, we're okay. And then I kind of saw you there and I'm like, all right. And I didn't like know you, so I'm like, I don't know if like how to like go up and just talk to you. Like, and I was running like a show, so also like I didn't have time. But then like I was like seeing like stories, which is like we talked about that already, where like people immediately go like to stories to see about stuff. And I just saw like these are I'm like, these are from the show I'm at like right now.
Yeah.
Like they're already up, and I started seeing. I'm like, these are so fucking sick, and they were the quick edits like that you're doing. I'm like, these look so like amazing. And I don't think I didn't even talk to you till like 2 more shows that I got to see, because I remember like I saw you at I think it was like the Hell to Sun show, and you were shooting I think Nigma Open and I think Origami Bun, but you were like editing, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to you, and I'm like, wait, you're editing right now, because I remember that you do that right after. So I'm not gonna go bother you, so like I left, and I think I finally bothered you, and or like actually when I talked to you, and you were like, I think your first reaction was like, oh no, like did I ignore you like that time you tried to I was like, no, I didn't go up to talk to you. Like
it's so bad because I like have tunnel vision when I'm shooting. Like everyone says that I have RBF, which is very accurate, and I sometimes hope that it will keep people from approaching me, and they still do. So but all in all, like when I'm at a show, I'm always looking for like kind of where the energy's going. Like I don't ever just like stay in the pit or stay on the stage or whatever. Like especially with their songs, like I know what's coming. I know when Zaylen's gonna jump. I know like what's gonna happen. Yeah. And I know like when the beat's gonna drop. So I'm just kind of going back and forth the whole time.
Especially after hearing our set for
oh my god,
8, 9 times.
So you were able to like cater your shots as like as tour went on, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It definitely got easier after the first couple, because like I know when something's gonna happen for the most part. But yeah, I mean, when I'm at a show, it's really hard for me to like have conversation unless it's like before or directly after the show, because I'm not like I'm in zone. And I don't want to miss something. Like I know you guys don't care, but I think about the Havoc thing and you going on stage and doing a guest spot, and I missed it, and I'm so upset about it.
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm so upset about
guest
it.
spot at Havoc?
Yeah.
For who?
For third.
Oh,
for
nice.
Eric and them buddies. Yeah. I ran up and did vocals, but I was like, oh, this would be fun, because they didn't know I could do any of the Dispo guys.
I didn't know.
And so
He was screaming at the drums.
I just ran up and I did them, and they were like, what the hell? But I didn't tell her, and so there's no pictures.
Well, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I should have been paying attention. But
I should have been watching you all at all times.
But I feel like it was like a culture shock for me, in a sense of like I didn't really get a break. Well, I didn't really give myself a break, honestly, because there was always something to photograph, because all of them are so fucking funny. Yeah. And they're entertaining all the time.
Well,
and so
you don't forget, you also shot Lockjaw too.
Oh yeah, and I was shooting Lockjaw.
She had two bands.
Yeah, so I didn't really get to like take a break. So whenever I got done with everything, I was immediately editing, usually until 3 or 4 in the morning, so that I could deliver it, so that they would have like next day, hey, we were just here. This is what we did.
Yeah.
Because again, it's we've talked about this before too. It's newsworthy. Like if you're in a city and that's the only time you're in that city until whenever you come back, it's newsworthy, and you need to be able to tell people about it. And so that and like Ethan is running the socials for the most part, and so I just wanted to make sure that you guys had something to post. And I don't like getting behind.
How many times I got I see you guys on Instagram on this run was staggering.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It was out of the whole run, I think like half the shows, someone came up like, oh yeah, I see you guys on Instagram. Right? And that's, at least for me, that's like the main like we'll push on there. Yeah. And being able to post something thanks to the photos pretty much every night. Yeah, I think that helped. It's like that newsworthy thing. So
I remember when you were kind of like talking and explaining that to me. I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, because like if I'm at a show and I really had a good time, I immediately try to go like through the bands and like see some stuff. Even like I'll look and just like I know like sometimes you'll take like crowd shots and stuff like that too, and people like love that shit. I'm like, oh, like I was like here, this and that, or like again, every one of those crowds that saw like participated in like maybe like holding up Zaylen was like, oh, like they see the picture. I'm like, holy shit, like this is like happened. And then I think it's just more excited because you get to see pictures from the actual show you were at like immediately after happening.
It's funny that you say that. There was this kid, and I don't remember his name. I'm so sorry. There's this kid at Havoc. I photographed him at the Drain show. He went up on the stage and jumped over the photo pit into the crowd.
Shit.
And I got like a GIF of it. And he found me on Twitter, and so
Yeah.
I sent everything over to him so he had it. And he came up to me at Havoc, and he was like, "Are you AShotofBaileys?" He's like, "Thank you so much for that photo. It was so sick." Da, 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 da. And it's like, it's stuff like that. A lot of the people that are following me on social media are people that go to all of these shows, and they're always at these shows.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, they're just waiting to see themselves in the crowd, which is sick. And like the crowd shots are what capture like the energy of it anyway, usually. But with them, like Dally was moshing with his bass in the crowd. Like, honestly, like it's a different atmosphere when you're watching them for sure.
Yeah, I bet it was super easy and entertaining to find like shots to be like, like make them unique. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
band shots, but like them doing crazy shit because damn, this boy's been doing weird shit for a
At
while
Alabama
now.
was funny. There was the kid who pretended to have a
God.
heart attack.
What?
Like it was like
Alabama.
as a joke, like during a breakdown.
Okay.
He was like, "Oh my god!" Boom, and he fell back, and Zalen ran up and pretend to like give him CPR.
Oh my god.
People
There's a
were
picture
genuinely
of that.
asking me if he did CPR. They thought,
Yeah.
they thought it was real. Yeah.
And we were like, "No, you just have it." It was Hill Street from Birmingham.
They were so fun.
They were
Yeah.
so cool.
They were great.
They were so much fun. And that was a really fun show. And yeah, that was
Yeah.
like one where it was like, oh, we got to take pictures of this. And Dally jumping up into the crowd.
And they were grabbing each other the whole time. Like,
Birmingham was the one where we were like, we got to do something. What can we do? And it was just like me, Ethan, and Zalen. And I was like, oh, I got an idea. All right, whoever can touch Dally's genitals the most gets dinner bought for them.
Consensually.
Gets waffled, yes. But fuck Dally. So either. And I was like, all right, I'm in, but like I gotta I can use a drumstick, right? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, all right, cool. So that whole show was just us like running around, just like me trying to get up and like reach, and then Ethan running and Zalen running, and
it was a
she
mess.
was like, how do we take pictures of all this?
There was so much going on. I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, these are going to look like shit.
Everyone was backwards, upside down, just running around.
Oh, and then he found a backup girlfriend also.
Oh my god!
Hey, be careful.
There's just like this older woman in Birmingham, Alabama, who was just like,
Damn, Birmingham had it all.
It's crazy.
I think it happened. What was the show after that? Florida, and it happened again in Florida too. But
That makes sense.
I now got an acrylic drum set. Which
Yeah.
I love the look of the acrylic. Just like I've always wanted one. I just like finally was like, I'm just gonna get one, and I did, and that's what I brought on the road. And this older woman in Birmingham was like, "Your drums, they're so beautiful, and you're so goddamn cute." And I was like, "Thank you, ma'am. We gotta fucking go, guys.
Could have got a new drum
my
set.
We gotta go."
He was like,
That's so
yeah, I
funny.
actually need another one. He's like, oh, I got you, sugar.
All right, all right, cool. I guess we gotta stay.
She just wanted some cheap
Drummer.
pictures of you just pedaling.
Just playing the drums. Exactly.
She was vibing though. She loved Lockjaw. So
Yeah.
That was cool.
How's like with like touring and stuff? Which before Dispo, you've already gone on a few like little.
Well,
runs.
the only thing I did was with Third and with the Dark Divide. We just kind of did like a weekender,
Yeah.
right? That was my first longer run.
Okay.
The only thing that even came close was back. I say home, but really back in New York, we would do like little weekender things like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I only did that like once or twice. Up there, up in the Northeast. So this was definitely my first longer run with Dispo, and my longest one yet.
How is it? I mean, you mentioned like where people were like, oh, like I've seen you on Instagram and stuff like that. Did you have like? Did Disposition have like that type of reception like in most of the towns you were hitting? Like, were you meeting like somebody that knew about it, or was it a little new to like some people?
Mostly new, right? Because as a lot of the music, I've been very fortunate to like see the band grow, especially after we put out South of Saints. You know, seeing like the monthly listeners go up, and it just growing just so much. Even just the year I've been in it, right? So there were quite a few towns where, like I said, they either came up and said, "Oh yeah, I heard you guys," or a lot of it were some of the opening bands who were like just trying to check us out beforehand. But for the most part, it was all new people who never heard of us, and there was pretty good turnout at a lot of these places. And it was just cool to be able to show off to, people who just never heard of us. So hopefully they're listening to us now.
Yeah. I think tour definitely is like a really great way to make those connections, especially like playing sets and shows like y'all do. It's very easy for like somebody to see you for the first time, be super hype and immediately like want to talk to you, follow everything, and just be like, oh, like next time they come through town, like I want to see this again, So this is a weird segue, but I just thought of it, and having both of you here actually kind of like I'm interested in hearing this. You do very well. Like I didn't even know, but like you like do your own like drummer content that you've like been putting out for like quite a bit. And I know Bailey, you were talking and saying you want to get into more like video content as well. What is the way you like tackle like creating content based on like your music for you and like photography for you?
You first.
I just try to make stuff that I like. I think the last time I was on here, I even said that. Like, I just want to do stuff that I enjoy because that's why I'm, doing it. Especially drums. Drums is very expensive. Yeah. So, like, if I'm spending all this money, I want to have fun, right? This is all about fun. And so soon I'm actually building like a studio in my backyard, like a big project that I've always wanted to do, like get a soundproof studio and just have something where I can create content or be a session drummer or whatever, right? Okay. And be able to practice. And I was even thinking today, like we were just saying before this, like I'm looking at cameras, I'm looking at this. I just want to be creative and just make something that I enjoy. So I just play the songs I like to play, or hopefully soon with new Dispo songs that we're writing and coming out with, like making more professional looking, drum content and pushing that out. Because even in my head, I've always said I'm a drummer first and a musician second. That's kind of changed in recent years, especially with COVID, like just being like, all right, I'm bored. I'm going to learn how to play guitar now and whatever. So now I've always felt like, just the two are melding, but I want to be able to show what I can do, play drums and just have fun. Because the most fun instrument, it's the worst instrument to carry around, and spend all your, life savings on. But other than that, it's the most fun. And I just love it. And if I can push out stuff that I enjoy and other people happen to like it, hell yeah, I think I did my job.
I mean, you're starting to get into it, so.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing when it comes to video. I've like played around with it.
I never said that.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, like I've always said that like with my photos, I want you to look at it and like feel like you missed out. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get that same feeling when it comes to video. And so like I made like a little tour recap with like a bunch of funny videos of Dispo, and they loved it.
The one that you just like said,
yeah, and like that was cool. It was a bunch of cell phone videos and stuff like that. I did like throw together in like 20 minutes some footage that I took at a show, and I sent it to Zaylin, and he said that's a good start. And I'm like, ouch. And he's like so phenomenal at video, so I'm like, don't ever look at any of my videos again. But it's a learning curve for me. Like the taking of like recording the video is one thing. The editing process is so extensive, and it's frustrating for me because with my photos, like I've got my presets. I know exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. I know how to save myself time, and I get it done. Video, you can't fucking do that. You've got to have everything at the right time and like lined up with the music. And I am not a patient person. And so it's very difficult for me. But I do really want to start getting more into video because it seems like you kind of have to be into video these days if you're going to be going on tour. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some people that only do photo, but it's going to be way easier to be able to get on tour with someone if I can do both.
If you can do both, it's going to open more opportunities.
Yeah, and I feel like I missed a lot of... If I knew what I was doing, I feel like I missed a lot of opportunity on the Dispo tour to get some really cool, fun content video-wise. So I think like that's definitely something that I want to try and figure out before I go on another one to an extent to where I can play around with it and actually like practice it and try it. Because a lot of like shows that I go to, if you have to get a photo pass, you typically can't shoot video. So the practice part of it is really difficult, like to be able to get into a show and actually shoot video and like try it out and see what you like. So that was like kind of my opportunity. So I did take a lot of video and I haven't edited any of it because I'm stressed. But
what's you would be up, you know, like, because she had to shoot both bands, right?
Yeah.
So it's the end of the night. It's like, you know, luckily we were able to end the show, especially during the week, by like 11ish. So like awesome, cool. But then it's like, all right, where are the van keys? And she'd be editing till, you know, 2, 3, sometimes even like 4 in the morning, right? So I don't know how you'd be able to do the video. But what's cool is like we had the footage, and like she posted like she gave us like this really funny video of all of our antics in the van and whatnot. But we had that later to post, you know, so that we didn't, you know, blow our load on all these pictures, and then it's like, all right, now we have nothing, and it's a week after the run.
Yeah.
So being able to edit those afterwards, I thought was still like, okay, cool. We have little things here and there afterwards.
yeah, well, and Zaylin made a couple edits too, with like the doll throwing video and stuff like that. And then we did a really cool thing. I don't remember whose idea it was. At Haltom, at Havoc, sorry. They had an idea for Zaylin to like look at, like, I'm standing on stage, he looks at the camera and runs out toward the crowd, and then we spliced it into him actually jumping into the crowd. Fucking sick.
That was fucking
badass. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. It was a great idea. And like stuff like that, like I would like next time we do it for every single time he jumps into the crowd and put them all together, or something like that. Just like something that can kind of tie together the whole tour in a video format. But again, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So until then, I'm just going to keep winging it. And a lot of reels that I've posted on Instagram, I have archived shortly after. So
No.
we're working on it. My photo, I'm really confident in. There's not a lot of things that I can say like, yeah, I know how to do that shit. I hate forcing myself to post video because I'm like, I don't like that at all.
I don't like that at all.
And I'm friends with so many people that are good at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want any of you to see that. Don't look at it. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm not good at editing like like colors and shit like that. I'm like, oh, I'll take whatever's out of the camera. But as far as like putting shit and timing stuff, I'm like, that's my bread and fucking butter. Like that's where I'll sit down and be like, go through everything. I was like, oh, this move will look cool over here on this part of the song. Like lining up stuff to music and songs like that. Like I love wasting time doing that because like so I used to do that a lot when I did like a vlog, and I would if there was ever like a montage of something that had to go over music, I'm like, this is my favorite part of shit. Like, cause you get to time like little things. And again, I like the idea that you just said, like, oh, I want to make people feel like they missed out on like something. And that was like, my thing was like, I took the concept of like the vlog and be like, oh, these are one day going to be like what people had as home movies to me. Like, you know what I mean? We'll be able to look these back. I'm like, so I want to make this video feel like what it was like if I was there, you know what I mean? Or how fun it would be. Cause I mean, when you're there, like, whatever, there's space in between. We're like, oh, nothing's happening now. Oh, but something happened now. It's like, what if you just make it all fun and, like, it's, like, the memory of that night, you know what I mean? Because you don't, in your memory, you don't have all those, like, oh, there's nothing happening here. You just have, like, the montage of, like, fun shit.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah,
so that's the way I was, like, trying to shoot stuff or edit it later. Because, like, and the thing is, like, I didn't know, I knew some shots to take, but with vlogging, I would just take a shit ton of, like, video. And I'm like, I'll figure it out later. But then I would sit there and be like, I have 2 hours worth of stuff that I would try to squeeze down into like a 5-minute vlog. And I'm like, holy shit, this is going to take forever. But I like video as a format because of that, because of like timing and editing. Cause even like I would do like, if there was something that was like a comedy bit or something and comedic timing, even that when I do clips for like the podcast, like I'll do that too. Like sometimes when I'll, cut it so some points hit like correctly at the right time, or like have the timing or whatever. So it's a really cool format to take into that. But when it comes to like editing like color, like that's one thing I have to learn now a lot, and I'll have to do it here soon.
But I love like your videos. The one that we were even saying something on the road about the hardcore fest you guys did, your hardcore hot takes.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
were freaking brilliant, dude. Those
That
were
shit was
awesome.
wild.
Those were so funny. For me, it was funny because of the Gamma one, but
Oh.
triggers are cool. And I was like, yeah, get him. Finally, someone's found shit for me.
He's like, boom. I was like, oh shit.
That was so good, and like, I want to get into it.
So
too.
that's a concept that I kind of related a lot more to, like when we were talking about crowd shots and stuff like that. People love to see themselves and stuff, and I want to, because I'm trying to figure out. I know like the shows and stuff that we're putting on, the lineups. Like I love these bands, like these bands are going to be good, or this lineup will work, blah blah blah. But it's figuring out how to get people to go to a show just to go to a show. Like that's the community I'm trying to build, and stuff like that just makes you want. I was like, oh, I want to be here because we'll get to be part of a community or something. So even that the hot takes one was funny. Like we do those song ones all the time. So you get to see like you're at a fucking a hardcore fest show, and then you see the range of people like talking about what music they like what their favorite song, and it ranges, but it's stuff that gets people to participate. So then they'll literally go later and see the video. I'm like, oh, that's me there.
Yep.
And they'll comment on it again and share it, whatever. But again, it makes them see like, oh, I'm being noticed too. So even when you see like some people like you were saying about the guy who like flipped over like the photo pit, and being able to see himself like in a picture, like you go to a show and like the star is like that, but you get a little piece of it. Like if you get like a photo taken of you, like doing, enjoying the show or whatever. So I think it just involves you a little bit more in the community. But yeah, the whole idea of like, let's just go out to a show because like there's a show happening,
I love that. That's so hard. Cause like a lot of my friends came out for the Havoc show because obviously it's my hometown. And, I've been telling them for, I don't even fucking know how long, listen to Dispositions, they're so good, you should come to a show, and they wouldn't do it, and they finally come out, and I get texts from literally all of them with, like, a screenshot of their song, they're like, oh, shit, they're, like, really good.
Yeah.
Like, no shit, I've been telling you, like...
I think that happened to, I think your friends in Nashville, because you had a group of friends come out in Nashville who even went up to me and was just like, yeah, she told us about your music. I heard you guys are actually kind of good.
I hate that. You're actually kind of good.
You're actually pretty good. And I was like, oh, thank you. We try.
Like, yeah, I thought so. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean actually kind of good?
Yikes.
But yeah, I think it's a weird concept. If you're outside of like the music scene at all, you don't see it as like somebody at this level being good, and that's crazy to me. Because of how long like I've participated and played in it and just become fans. Where I'm like, dude, I have favorite bands and favorite songs and are local, like
right.
and are really good. And you show them to some people and like, oh yeah, they're from here. You know what I mean? Even like when Sierra and I started dating, Sierra didn't know like a lot about like the local scene and all. She like loved music, was going to concerts, but didn't know like how like talented like it was at a local level. And I'm like, dude, you have some people writing some crazy like
especially
stuff
here.
and and great stuff all over, you know what I mean? Like Cherry Mantis came out with like an album last year, and they're like all like these jazz nerds, and it's just freaking amazing, like this music. And I remember listening to the album and like, I have listened to this album like 5 times in a row. Like, I really like this. And just having moments, I love having those moments. I'm like, that's fucking cool. Like, that, and those people I know, and I'm like, oh, I know those people. Like, I can talk to those people. And and I think even when I was in a band, it's hard to conceptualize like that a band has to start like there to get to somewhere high. Like, if you don't ever like, if you only see bands like that they're at their highest level, or like when they're famous, then it's hard to recognize like, oh, well, they started like somewhere at the bottom. It's just really hard to conceptualize if you don't really pay attention to it. But yeah, once you start going to shows, you see that right away.
Yeah.
See, I think that's the hardest thing too, is like you watch these big, huge bands and you're there because you like to sing along, like that's what got you there. But like, if you heard their first project, you would be very upset. Yeah. Like, I guarantee you. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
It's all practice, and like even like the smaller shows that you can't even hear what they're saying. It's all about the energy.
Mm-hmm. I was at the Spillover show yesterday at Tulips, and what's that? I know a band. I was like, oh, I really love this band. It was Bantamello, and I'm like, and I know like what one of the songs sounds like, and all the other songs, like, I don't know the words or anything like that. But I love just being there and taking in music, because like, and it's probably because like I don't do a good job of like looking up lyrics anymore. I will know melodies, and like I know like what the screams will sound like or what this is, so I can mimic whatever. And I realized that's when I realized like, oh, I go more on energy and like what the music like sounds like. But I was there having like a great time, and I'm like, oh, and I was telling you, I was like, this band is amazing. Like I know them, so like if someone asked me, they'd be like, oh, like so what's this song about? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like I'm enjoying it. Like right now, you know, it's happening live. But it's that separate. Like just taking a chance. I think it's sometimes you find some really cool stuff. Not all of it's gonna be your taste or whatever, and that's just normal. Music is subjective as hell.
Well, and they did like that show. Sorry, they did that show at Tulips with Narrowhead. Where they had like I don't even remember what it was called. It was a huge showcase. So it was Narrowhead, Trauma Ray, Bleed, Slow Joy. Insane lineup, insane. And I hadn't heard anybody like before. Like I went for Bleed. I love Bleed so much. Bleed's cool. Their fan base is absolutely fucking insane. They're crazy. Like the video that I got was absolutely insane. But Heavy Trip, I'd never heard of Heavy Trip. Oh yeah. And they're so good. They're so good. And so is Flower Bed. And it's just crazy. Like when you're going and you're seeing like local openers for a band that you do know, like then you're in with the local scene, like just there. Like because Slow Joy, like I went and saw Slow Joy at Granada like a week ago. He was selling out Dada last year. Yeah. Like, and now he's on a massive stage on tour with Mom Jeans. Like that's crazy. Yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy.
I just been meaning to reach out to him and be like, how do I was like, this is still doable. He's around town. Like, I feel like I could still get him at this point. But no, like, it's funny because Slow Joy, I first saw on TikTok, actually, of everything. Like, I remember singing a song, I'm like, what? And then, like, it's when they started putting the cities of where you're at. I'm like, that shit says Dallas. I'm like, what the fuck? This is really, again, and I still have those moments where I'm like, that's right here. And this dude's, like, putting out this cool-ass fucking music. Like, it's really good. Yep. And, those are the moments where I'm like, yes, like, it's fucking real. Like how, wherever you are, like there's people making like cool shit. It just taking the time and like giving it the opportunity to like, oh, let me find something like that you like. Cause I remember talking to somebody, they were actually, I won't say what magazine, but they were trying to interview like, do like a noise article or something. And I was talking to them and they're like, yeah, like, well, yeah, Fort Worth, is only really has like country, and I'm like, who the fuck are you? Why are you? And I was like, why are you writing an article like not knowing what like your city has? Like your city has so much stuff. I'm like, sure, the most commercialized, the biggest is going to be country like around here, but there's so much around, that. It was kind of weird. I'm like, oh, okay. The article never came out, so I'm like, okay, cool. Like, but yeah, there's just a lot to go to. It's just figuring out like what night out, because I don't know, I was talking to I think Jonathan and a few people that have like I've known that have like toured Europe, and the culture around music like in Europe is they explained to me like, oh, instead of like going like their nights out are going out to a show. Like
I'm so jealous.
More
so
people
sick.
go
That's
to
good.
like they're going out to a bar is more like we're going out to see like someone play somewhere, and it's a bigger music culture in that aspect, because they were even talking about like he's like, dude, we got fed at everywhere we went. This was Jonathan from Unity. They were like, he's like, we have he's like, maybe like a couple places we only got one meal, but everyone else we got two. Like, I'm like, what the fuck?
Crazy.
Like they were being treated like they treat their musicians a little better from I'm like, that's amazing,
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's to a degree like what we were trying to push for, like, and I just think it'd be more fun, you know what I mean? Like you get to go out and see some more music, and just hang out at a show, you know what I mean? See music and then hang out, but combine it, you know what I mean? I think that's definitely possible, and it's fun. I've had some fun moments just like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of these venues on the run were like trying to bring that like out, especially some of these like smaller cities, where like they would say, okay, you get like 2 free drinks, or you get a meal free or whatever. There were some places like that where I'm like, all right, cool. They actually care about like, hey, we brought a show. Yeah, so it's good to see that there's people, promoters, and venues that are still doing that.
That's why I'm kind of sad. Like we're losing the Post. Like what's pretty much going to close. Like it's closing at the end of March, but that's one thing, because like they only really opened the Post to outside like promoters for us, because like they knew TJ, but that gave us control because they had a kitchen and stuff like that. When we had tour packages and stuff, like, oh, we could be like, oh, like, do you want some food and stuff like that? We were able to offer, and it was so cool. I'm like, that we could do that, but it's not always possible like with everybody else. But that is sad. I will like not have a place like that, like a home base where we can offer stuff like that for touring. Because again, like the less you spend on the road on like food and shit like that, then the more you can have to save up in case something happens or all just getting to the next city. But I think it's maybe shifting more into the positive. I think more people are trying to have stuff like that for bands and things like. Hopefully,
I think so. And when we were a lot of these venues were very nice. They were very cool. I posted a video where I had like I can't think. I could think of some of the names, just not all of them. So I won't name any of them. But all the venues that we played, a lot of them were amazing. They're so nice and they worked with us. And because I've played shows where I've been to venues and it just seemed like they didn't want us there at all. But this was good. The people were nice.
Yeah, I hope there's more venues like that because it's been kind of scary with like shit like shutting down and all that stuff. It's been really sad. Like. Just so close to, I think like earlier in the year, it was like seems like everything was just shutting down and like even like Ethan now like working fucking hard to bring the rail back.
I was just to say I'm looking forward to the rail. I hope being able to go there and practice and then also play shows there and now with Ethan running it's
gonna be sick.
I'm excited. I know like I've known Ethan for a few years now and just work ethic wise, like you were talking about, like like Ethan has stuff like to post on his social. He's running like I don't know how many social media accounts, and he like they all have stuff like happening. I'm like, bro, I struggle with like two. Like I don't know how you do all of these.
If I say anything about Ethan or Dispositions, he's liking it from all 17 of his accounts.
Oh, I think you posted that the other day, right?
Yes, he's a mess.
Liking it on everyone.
Yeah, on everyone.
He had to. He couldn't do much on the road with the rail club. So afterwards, he's like, "I'm now 100. All rail club."
Yeah, no, because I think they're getting. You saying they're getting ready to like
almost.
Soon, right?
It is very very soon.
Yeah, they are getting their metal signs today. Is what he said. That's why he's not here because he was going to try and make it, but he's out there.
He's got to set up all the new signage and everything, all the new rebranding and whatnot. Yeah, they're trying. Their damnedest to like make it as new and as
give
big
it a
as
rebirth.
possible.
Yeah. That people been trying for a minute, so I think a nice fresh start would work on. Because people again, like I've seen some fucking great shows there. It's space wise is amazing. Just like the green rooms and shit that it has for bands. Like it's such a nice setup for bands. Even load in like all that space fucking back there to have all your stuff. Like a lot of stuff just works for that place. And I was happy when he was like, "Oh, I see he's on the team to like take care of this." Fuck yes, like I'm excited as fuck.
And we're super excited for it too. That was one of the first places I played when I moved here.
Really?
Was the Rail Club. Yep. What is it now? 8 years ago.
Wow.
When I first moved here, I was one of the first places I played. I played in a band that the first band I found was like on some musician ad. They're called the Rabbit Flesh Eaters, and they're a thrash band, so it was more like the thrash scene. Played a huge show there with War Beast, bigger band around here, bigger thrash band around here. And we opened, and it was just a packed house, and I'm like, "This place is cool." And then I learned like the history of the place. And
was the stage on the side when you?
No,
it was still the new one.
It was at the new place. Yeah, I'd never played it when the stage was on the side.
That was so weird when it was on the side. Like you would basically when you get into the door. That would you would be seeing the stage, like where the bar is. That's where the stage
weird.
was.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the stage, and then where the stage is now was like a little bit of an upper level, and they had like pool tables and stuff like that over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was it was facing this way, but you would come in right to side stage basically. Yeah, it was interesting.
No, how it's set up. But yeah, I never seen that, but every time I knew that it was like that, but every time I hear it, I'm like, how does that make any sense?
Yeah, it was weird. Like where the back bar is where everybody would load in and have stuff back there. That little area.
Oh, okay.
The side bar.
Right.
The balcony makes more sense though now.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah, you could see.
Now that I'm picturing, because every time I would go there, that bar would never really be open. That back bar. But now that I'm picturing it with that stage being there, that would have been open.
They would open that one, and then that might have been the only bar at the time.
It had to, other than upstairs, that had to have been right because the stage was where the current bar is.
Yeah, I think that was the only one that they would open. But yeah, I'm glad it's coming back. Then I got scary for a bit, but I'm just hoping it keeps coming back. But even stuff like the post did bum us out. We're like, fuck, we threw a lot of cool shit here, but
there's just not a lot of options in Fort Worth specifically.
Yeah, which is with us being most of us are here Fort Worth. We're wanting to bring shit here because I mean, we've been driving to Dallas for fucking ever to like go see a show and play a show and stuff like that. I'm like, why can't I go? So got to be a way to like do some cool shit here. And there's some stuff like opening up now. Like, I know, I'm sure you are, but like, are you going to see Movements when they're coming? Right? Okay.
I
But they're
already
playing that new
messaged
place,
their
right?
manager. I was like, please, for the love of God, let me shoot it.
But they're playing in like I've never
They're
been to
at
that place. That place,
Tannehill's.
yeah, that place in the Stockyards now. So like, there's like bigger venues like that opening up. I haven't been there yet, but I wanted to see like, what kind of atmosphere they have for like bands. But they seem to be open. The Dickies Arena is still doing stuff. That's still too big for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tulips has been booking some really big shows, though.
Tulips is I love Tulips.
Me too.
That's a very cool venue.
Yeah, it's feels exactly like the way I like a venue to feel. I don't know why that makes sense, but it does. Like, like they were running 2 stages. Well, yesterday it was raining, so they had to run one, and they couldn't use the back patio. So that little, when you walk out the back door, there's like a little area. It's just like a walkway.
Yeah.
That's where they set up the stage, like
shit.
right there. Yeah, and then now they have like a little bar at the end. Yeah, I was like, this place is fucking cool.
It's
like,
so cool.
Which we've worked with them, and they're professional as fuck, dude. When it comes to like handling stuff, like when we throw a show there, we're like, okay, like we know exactly like what we're doing, and we don't like they have everything locked down like easy, and everything runs exactly like it needs to. I'm like,
And all
I'm
their
fucking cool
staff
with
is
this.
so nice. The owner's
Yeah, right.
so nice.
Yeah, I've had great experience with them. You're starting to write now with Dispo?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, what was really cool is when I first joined, South Saints hadn't come out yet. And so, I told them, I was like, by the way, I program, I write, I do session work or whatever. And they were like, sure, here you go. And they gave me all the MIDI. And I was like, all right, cool. And I did it all. So South of Saints is me, my
really?
stuff, right? Like my work on there. They had like kind of like the bass line, right? But then they sent it over to me and I worked with it. And now I'm kind of getting involved. And like I said, I shouldn't say thanks to COVID, but because of COVID, I had more time on my hands I had more time on my hands to like learn new skills, like learn how to produce and learn how to like play guitar and whatever. So now I'm contributing like songs, like whole songs to Dispo too.
Cool.
It's actually funny. Every member of Dispo plays guitar.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Like everybody does. Yeah.
Everybody in Dispo. I don't think Ethan. I'm sure he can. He's just not going to do it. But everyone can do vocals. Everyone plays guitar. Everyone can play bass. Everyone can basically do every instrument in Dispo.
When are y'all gonna do
We
this
contemplate,
switcheroo
yeah.
on stage?
Yeah,
Little
right.
Chinese fire drill, yeah.
Actually, even Ethan was at least he tells me he was a drummer before anything.
Interesting.
What?
Yeah. So I'll have him.
Dispo
I'll have him.
trivia.
Yeah, right. I'll have him play drums and I'll play guitar and we'll just like run around at practices. We'll do that.
That would
I think Dally and Ethan switched one night, didn't they?
Yeah, we had a Dally's. He's a very good guitar player, but fuck Dally. But anyways, he is a good guitar player. I gotta give him that. And there was one night in particular. I think it was Memphis, where we were like, he was like, "Hey, can I play guitar?" And Ethan was like, "You know what? Yeah, I'll play bass." So Ethan played bass and Dally played guitar, and the entire
whole
show.
set?
Yeah, the whole set.
Shit.
And I was like, "I don't like this. You guys stop it right now." I'm just sitting back there playing it, and they didn't like it either. And no one, were like, "All right, we're never doing that ever again."
Yeah, Ethan was like, I can't do anything. I can't move. I just gotta,
This thing's too big.
This thing's too big.
This is heavy.
Well, I was actually telling Bailey before we started that I actually like have known Dally probably the longest, like in passing, you know what I mean? Because like when he had a band called Remnants of Rome, I think is what it was called. Yeah, and that's like our bands would play shows together, and that's like how long like I've known him. I don't think we've ever like talked too much, but like since then, I think it's like when we're like have friends on Facebook or whatever, and like and have literally been that way for fucking years.
Yeah.
And I think just recently is when we've like talked a little more.
I'm always like, well, okay, Dally's the new guy. It's not me. I'm not the new guy.
I'm not the new guy.
Apparently not. Apparently Dally was a member of Dispo like upon its first like conception, and then had to stop, and then now he's back on bass. So
yeah, Dispo's gone through quite a bit of changes, and when I really think about it, it's kind of hard to look at what Dispo like was like really early on because of what it is now. You know what I mean? And it's just I love the the energy transition that it is. It seems really fun now. Like I like the group of guys that's in it. Like everybody looks like they're having like a great time and having fun doing that music. And again, it's it might be just like as I've gotten older, but that I appreciate that so much more, like from a band.
We've all become like friends. We've all become like good tight knit. Like we're always on the band chat. We're always talk. And like I said, now that we all feel very involved in the writing process because we all play. We all play every instrument kind of thing. It's been more of like I've felt more like involved in this band than a lot of other projects I've worked on. And so, yeah, and especially just us becoming friends and melding, we have just so many jokes and we're loud mouths and we're annoying as all hell. I don't know how she survived. I have no clue how she survived, with our antics. And it's sort of like come out in our content where we're like, we want to do like more funnier stuff and just us.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what makes you guys so likable, though. I mean, you're relatable and you're funny, and it's entertaining. I mean,
we think we're funny.
Yeah.
Does anyone else think we're funny? Probably not, but we'll see.
But yeah, I mean, it just you look at a band and they're so serious, and it makes them really hard to approach. And I feel like with these guys, like anybody can go up and talk to them just because they're so like bubbly and happy to be there and just easy to talk to, and they're funny.
Well, I like that, and I like that. It always weirded me out when I like saw bands interact with each other, like, oh, you guys don't like hang out together, like you guys aren't really friends. Like that always like was weird to me, and didn't quite make sense to me. But also just like taking that same concept and applying it just to like your scene in general, or like where you're going out to, like try to be as receptive you can with like all these people, because it opens up so many doors, but also like opens you up to like so many just like friendships and people that you like. I can't go maybe to a show around here without running like into a friend, and that's the greatest fucking feeling ever. You know what I mean? Like whether it's one person or like I'm walking through a crowd of like I think early on, like I would tell Sierra, I'm like, oh, like I'm not a big deal or anything. It's just like we've been hanging out with these people for like ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like we're like walking around like, oh, like this guy is hello. I'm like, yeah, it's just like I love that. I love that I can go to whatever show and I'm literally I need to guarantee like run into like at least one person I know that's gonna see something. It's such a cool feeling.
It's funny you say that. Like when we were at emo night, I was hanging out with Lincoln from Her Name Is Karma, and he literally knows everyone.
Oh yeah.
And so me, him, and Alex were hanging out, and he's like, "I'm gonna go ride the bull. Come hang out with me." And we're like following him to the bull. He stopped at least 15 times on the way to the bull to say hi to people, and I'm like, I don't know how you do that. Like that would stress me out. But like every single show he goes to, every event, like he knows so many people because he's been in the scene for so long. Yeah. And it's just the way it is, man. Everybody knows everybody.
I met Lincoln a long time ago in a band that he was playing with before Her Name Is Karma. Actually, it's funny. I went to the first like Her Name Is Karma practices with him in it.
Really?
Because he invited me over, so we were like at the house, like just at the house hanging out, like listening to them and stuff. But his band before that is when we met. Like which is weird. Like I said, like it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't even know like when I met some of these people. And then I realized like when I stopped to think about it, I was like, holy shit, we've like known each other for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And it's so sick. But yeah, I think I just love the local scene so much.
I try to connect with like if I'm playing a show and I don't know the band and they like seem approachable, I always try to make friends with the drummers because like especially like emo night and stuff like that.
When you knocked the cymbal off the stage.
When I knocked the cymbal, I felt so bad, but just like knowing Andy from Atlantic Blue, I was like, yo, I'm so sorry. It was like, it's all good. We got it. I've donated. He's had a problem or not problems, but like he needed a cymbal one show. I'm like, just take it. Here you go. It's yours, right? So like having those tight knit, especially with like other musicians, and having that help in case something goes wrong is
the community of it.
The community of it all. Right?
It's the most amazing part.
I literally was on the phone with Cody from Skyboss.
Oh yeah.
Right before this, just another drummer, and he's like, hey, I got a question about triggers, and I was like, yep, let's go. Just
triggers,
yeah, very important thing. You got to play them.
Yeah, the just the camaraderie and stuff. I know, like when you were last year, you were starting to have that with like more photographer friends. Like, you were like trying to meet like other people. I know, like you mentioned like Zach Burns, who you were like starting to work with, and like just being in the pit and knowing like the other people that were around.
It's so much easier when you know everybody, you know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
we went to a show, all of us were at, I don't remember which show it was. Oh my God. My head is empty. Okay. There were like 6 of us there, 7 of us.
Wow.
That all knew each other. It was James, Justin, me, Zach, Damian Gunther from Spliced, Michael Ford. We were all there, and Zach was like, let's go take portraits. And so he just took us outside and took portraits of all of us. We were all just hanging out the whole time. It was so fun. And I don't know, it just makes it less intimidating when you know people in the pit. If you're at a show and you don't know anyone and you have to introduce yourself, this is probably just me because I'm anxious as fuck. It's just so much easier when you know everybody and you're able to kind of like coexist and you're at work, you know?
Yeah. I think the sense of community helps a lot more with even like feelings of like competitiveness, I think, in a way. Like I get how like sometimes it's healthy to have like some healthy competition, but feeling more of like, oh, I'm working with people like I know and respect, like being respectful of everybody else, like as work, and not really having that mentality. Because I think that, I don't know, I really don't like the feeling of that, of like trying to, because like I've had like so many instances, and like sometimes people like have come, like someone came up to me like once and was like, oh, like, did you see that somebody's doing something similar to where you're? I'm like, that's cool. Like, I remember when somebody like just started another podcast, and I was just like, that's amazing. Like, I didn't invent podcasts. Like, first of all, and like, and second, I go, that means there's more like people talking to more artists. I go, I can't get through everybody like ever. And then like I had like the weird experiences, because I had one guy come up to me at a show, and like I didn't know him, but he was like, oh, like you do like blah, 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 the podcast. He's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, like, yeah, like I've listened to it, and I started my own. And I'm like, that's what the fuck? Like, I never thought like that ever happened. He's like, yeah, I started my own. Like, I saw you could do it, and like it's really cool. And he was like telling me about it. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. That's I go, again, it's same thing when like you're playing music and someone like starts doing it because like of their favorite band or whatever. I'm like, yes, you want more people doing cool shit, and you need more people to get past the part about like being scared of like, oh, I'm gonna suck. I'm like, yes, you're gonna fucking suck. Like everybody does. Like, that's why like I forgot who I was talking to, but they're like, oh, like I don't take down any of like my old like songs or videos. I'm like, yeah, I don't either. Like I have like my first podcasts were like a little rough. Like I was learning at the same time, and they're always gonna get better. Like I'm just having fun. I go, as long as you enjoy doing it, keep fucking doing it.
Let me tell you, my old shit is archived. You will never see it again.
It is
like so bad.
As soon as you post it,
it's so bad.
I mean, yeah, as far as like this, I don't. But yeah, there's, I mean, sure, pictures.
I don't know what you guys talk about. I look back at old videos and I'm like, I was a way better drummer. I don't know what the fuck happened to me.
You have the reverse.
What
happened?
I got old. I don't know. I'm not as quick anymore. I don't know. I look at old stuff and I'm like, I was so good back then. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, no, I'm just like seeing like this to where it is now. I'm like, oh, at least I have like an actual room for this. Because if not, it was always rearranging the living room in our apartment where we used to live. And be like, all right, someone's coming over, this and that. That's now like the cat doesn't have to be in here, because before he would like jump and knock the lights down.
Oh,
like he did that. He did that once. And I was just like, oh my god, like I don't know what to do.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I'm so sorry, but I like that. I like that because sometimes I get too closed into like what I'm doing that I don't remember like how far I've like come. You know what I mean?
And then you don't even realize like growth in numbers too.
Yeah, like
Instagram follows or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. You don't like. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, obviously I'm not like, you know, millions of followers on Instagram or anything like that from drum videos. But the fact that like I didn't realize that only like 2 years ago I had like 200 followers, and now I almost have 1,000. And it's like, oh, okay, people are catching on, and you don't even realize it. It's just, you know, and like you said, you're in it because you enjoy doing it.
And I like that. I like the less thought about numbers in a way, because before, when I used to look at them, it would influence what I would create, and then I would like, oh, I don't like this anymore, or like it's not fun. So I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I do this as honest and as consistent as possible. So that's my only like number, is the consistency. It's like, okay, so if I can just keep doing it, like that's what we'll worry about.
That's what matters. Yep.
And it's
because all that other stuff, it becomes a bummer.
Yeah, and it's so fucking like, I don't even know what the right word. Like, it's so hard to know what's gonna do well and what's
really.
Not gonna do
it's
well.
always the one you think isn't gonna hit. It always is the easy shit.
I'm like, you know what? Again, and that's when like I started to see that. I'm like, I didn't know that one was gonna be that popular, or this and that, or which one they're gonna. I'm like, as long as I put stuff up, I go, that's fucking fine, because I hated when I would like really work on something and then it's like, oh, nobody's watching that or whatever. And then like the one that I'm like I didn't pay attention to is like going crazy. I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna pay attention to it across the board and just
whatever.
Be like, cool.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. I put it out, and I think it's a way easier process than that. But I think it's time to open those things.
Heck
up
yeah!
I think it's time to congratulate you on
your engagement.
Thank you.
Yay!
Clap
so
for
excited.
I'm so happy you got the help. It wasn't. I was telling Bailey like I wasn't nervous until we got to like the actual proposal part because I'm like everything's going well. There's a lot of like crazy shit. First of all, if you want to talk about how big of a fan of the local scene I am, like I got Lucas from the band Laredo to play.
I see.
Which I'm first of all
literally played with.
I'm a big Lucas fan. First of all, from Hollowell days, which was way back in the day. It's a great postcard. Bring it back. I'm gonna do it. But yeah, like so it just worked perfectly. Like because they played emo night like the past week or whatever.
Fun. Yeah.
And their set got cut short, and they didn't get to play the song that I had hired him to play for the engagement. So Sierra went to so my fiance, she's gonna like that if she sees that. She
feels stronger, doesn't it?
Yeah, my fiance.
My fiance.
I'm not gonna lie. I told her I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that word. So, but yeah, so she had gone to another show and she came to the emo night just so we could see the band Laredo, and then they didn't play that song. She was like, "Oh, well, it's okay, this and that." And in my head, I'm just like, "There's no fucking way this is happening. This is a universe thing." I'm like, "All right, cool." And then like day of, like stuff timing wise went a little weird because like we got to the post, which is where we met, and it's like where I asked her to be my girlfriend, and this was like on the anniversary or whatever. So a lot of little like details for me. I'm just like, I'm not gonna make anything huge, but like it's gonna be personal enough, like or whatever. So.
Did she have any idea?
No, apparently.
That's perfect.
That's good.
Perfect.
Literally, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, and I was trying to, because originally we were going out to dinner, and we were just gonna do something small for our anniversary. But then I was like, how do I get her? I was originally just gonna be like, oh, let's just stop by the post, nostalgic reason they're closing it or whatever. And so that happened too. The post is closing, and I was just like, and
this is perfect. Yeah.
Months ago, when I was like, if I ever did this, like. This is where I had this plan. This is why I was so excited to tell her all about it after like it happened because I'm like, so I had this thought maybe back in like October, and I knew exactly like these things were in place. Like Lucas playing at the post, you photographing. This was all in here.
Really?
Yes, for a while, and I was just like. That's probably how I'd want to do it. And then when we got the like news, like whenever like I made the decision was like early February, and I told her I was like, I'm not one to. Oh, okay, like let's wait a whole like I was like, no, if it's in here, like I gotta do it now. So everything like set in motion. I started getting everything ready. But yeah, like Bailey and I got there, and then like Lucas wasn't there yet, and neither was Sierra, and then Sierra got there, and I'm just like, fuck, like she's gonna see Lucas like come in. So then I had to like hide them in the front. We were taking photos.
Get over here, get out.
Yeah, I was like, over there, yes, and I was like, let me close this door too, like to the inside. It all just worked perfect because when I finally went in to grab him. I was walking back outside, and Lucas is like, oh, I'll wait like a minute, and then I'll come out there. And as soon as I walk out there, Sierra's like, hey, let's go on the little stage and like dance. And I turned to Bailey. It was the first time I broke at all, like with everything. I turned, I was like, there's no fucking way.
He literally typed that in the message to me on Instagram. He was like, I'm going to get her to dance, and then he'll come out. And so her doing that was absolutely perfect.
I was literally like, this is working perfectly. And then I knew I didn't want to, I was like, I knew if I got down and did a speech while I was holding a ring on one knee, I wasn't going to make it through a speech. I knew that for sure because I had been practicing at like my desk at work. And I remember like just thinking about it in my head and going over it and then realizing 10 minutes later that I was fucking crying. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I was like, I'm not going to be able to get through this without being a blubbering mess. Yeah. So while we were dancing, I'm like, oh, here can stabilize myself while I hold her. And then like, so I said the whole spiel, whatever. But yeah, we were dancing and luckily she was turning to see me when Lucas came out. And I'm like, I feel like we're missing some music. And then Lucas starts playing and I'm just like, this is fucking working.
This is perfect.
And then even if and this is me, because again, this shit it's so funny to me because it was in my head like this. I'm like, because I think I don't know if I sent it in your message, but I sent it to Lucas. I'm like, there's a one point in a song where it hits a climax, and like that's where I want like everything to happen. And go, but when I started doing the speech or whatever, when I was like saying whatever I wanted to say, I completely lost track of where the song was. So
you were perfect though.
So when I stopped and I realized when I saw the video later, and I was like, that's right on like
he
cue.
literally said the lyrics, "Are you ready to go steady?" And and I was like, perfect.
It's fucking
perfect.
I was like, yeah. When I seen a picture, I've seen that video so many times, by the way. And yeah, like it just works so perfectly, and I'm just so happy because again, like, it's the most perfect like not perfect to me relationship I've ever had. Like it's so fucking fantastic.
When
but
you
I
know,
appreciate
you know.
it. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that all makes sense. All that corny stuff and things like that. When people are like, yeah, when you know, all that stuff makes perfect sense. Like when it's the like right person. Yeah. Absolutely.
Does she know that you had like already had it planned, or does she think that you hired Lucas to come out because of the emo night issue?
She might have thought that initially, but I told her like, no, like this was like the plan, like from the beginning. Yeah, because I'm like, this is. I love like that song from that day because I started to get to know the band Laredo because we were throwing a show with them, and then like that happened. Like there's so many like little details that I nerd out on because like that song was playing when they played when we first met. So we were like literally met at a show I was working because we were like she was going out of town or something, blah blah blah, and she was like, well, I want to like see you before I go because we hadn't met yet. Like, and she showed up. I was like, well, I'm working a show, like so you can come by, like, but I might be busy. She's like, no, it's fine. So we hang out. So we were sitting down next to each other. I was working like the door, and that song's playing, and like during that climactic part, instinctively she like reaches over and grabs my hand. So like in me, I'm like, this shit is in here.
Beautiful.
I was like,
love
this shit is
that.
just in here. And she didn't notice. I told her later. I was like, do you know that this is a song like that was playing? Like that. And then from that day, so literally from the day I've met her, that song's been ingrained in my head.
Stop it right now.
Go. That's the
sweet.
wedding song.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the first dance.
Yeah. It was so like, all these little things like lined up to a degree. You know what I mean? And it all just worked perfectly. But no, thank you so much for helping me.
Thank you
with
for
that.
having
And you know
me.
what? I'm gonna open.
Go.
You have to open AJ's first.
AJ's first.
Yeah.
We got him engagement gifts, but also just gifts.
Just
Gifts for the Burrows.
All right. Here we go. Nice little bag. This is Sierra's aesthetic, by the way.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to repackage this. God damn. Ooh, some volcán de mi tierra. Damn, you're trying to get us fucked up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Funny story about that. That tequila I love tequila. I'm a big tequila person. Love it. And I go to Total Wine, and they had like one of those booths to like try the tequila, right? But for them, instead of like just like one person sitting there giving you like a little shot of it, they were pouring it in like snow cones with like some mango nata stuff on it, right?
Where is
you would have that. You would have it was just they were just doing like a promotion at Total Wine, right?
Oh my god.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll try. I love tequila, right? And I said, all of a sudden, what had to have been a 7-foot like Polynesian man just goes, hello, my friend, how are you? And he just shakes my hand. I'm like, oh, how you doing? He's like, you like tequila? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, come. And he grabs my hand and he takes that tequila and he pours it on my hand in the middle of this Total Wine.
Just tequila on your hand?
Yep. And he pours it on my hand. I'm like, yeah, word, man. Yeah. And he's like, feel it. And I'm like, why? What do you want me to do with this stuff? And he's like, is it sticky? And I was like, no. And he's like, that's how you know it's good. And I'm like, give me your entire stock. You're wild.
I'm in.
You're wild. Sure, I'll buy it. And so I just had to.
So that sticky means good.
It's, I guess. I don't know. He's like, hey, that's how you know it's good. And I'm like, okay. I'll buy one because you're a maniac.
It worked, though. Let's see what we got.
So you got a big bottle of tequila, and then you have a tiny
bottle
of
and
tequila.
And a bigger.
That was Dalen's idea. We're crediting him that.
That's adorable. Oh.
And that's from Dispo, by the way. That's from everybody.
Oh, thank you, Dispo, so much. I love all of y'all. Dose.
Dose.
Because you're together. Haha.
Oh, excuse me.
God.
I'll just take this whole thing.
Thank you so much. And then we got.
Dang. Damn.
I don't know if it's good. It was a pretty bottle. So hopefully it tastes good. I have no idea.
Bailey's
That's
like
exactly
a man.
how I buy wine every
Not a-
single time.
Bailey's
Based
like,
on the look of it, because I don't know.
It's like, sure, man. It's pretty.
Bailey's like, funny story. Some guy poured this on my hand too. This
You
champagne.
don't have to read that.
Okay.
It's corny and mushy and gross, and I
Okay.
don't want anybody to know what I wrote.
I will read it. Thank you guys.
Of course.
Yeah, man. Just this is a good life. I don't know. Like
There you go.
this seeing music has brought me like so many like good memories and just good experiences and meeting great people. Like I said, I always say I do this because it's so much fun. Like, and I get to literally find friends just and share this fucking community that's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And music is the biggest thing that's tied me to like everything. Literally like to my best friends, to my fiance. Now that's literally how we started talking, was about a Bill Murray concert that we were at the same time.
Yep.
I love
There you
that.
You know what I mean? Like
That's sick.
that's why I tell her all the time, because we like there's no secret. Like we met on Hinge, but like I was on Hinge because I didn't give a shit. Like I was just like, oh, I didn't want to date online anymore, and I was just like, I'm on here because I need attention. And I was just like, it was like nothing. And then I finally like I see like her profile, and that's what caught my attention, is that she had a picture with Bill Murray at the concert I was
Hell
at.
yeah.
Oh,
And
there
I'm
you
like,
go.
oh shit, like who Bill Murray's? And that's what we talked about. We legitimately just talked about music for like 2 days,
There you go.
and realized that we had been at like the same concerts over like the last year.
That's so funny.
You know what I mean? And never like ran into each other. And I'm
Yep.
just like, this is great. But yeah, I mean, it's a good time. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. You guys are amazing. I think
Hell
you guys
yeah.
are doing amazing things, and I don't know, keep doing cool shit, which I think is easy because you guys just do that. Whatever you do, you guys do cool stuff, and I'm fans of both of you like immensely. But,
I'm a big
yeah,
fan of you. So
Thank you.
and your
Same,
hot
dog.
fiance.
Hey, me too. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. This has been episode
102.
102
102.
with Bailey and AJ, and catch everything Dispositions and catch everything Bailey. AshotofBaileys. We didn't talk about fucking heavy pour, but it's all right. We'll talk about
That's
it.
We just win. That was
That's
awesome.
We just winning.
That's awesome.
You got heavy pour right.
Heavy pours right here. Cool.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time.
Time it says better lose your man. We should run away, love me instead.
Choose sounds and breakdowns.
Love me instead. Time it says better lose your man. We should run away together while we still can.